Hello and thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun for a yearly astrological report. We'll be speaking about Venus, Demotion with Mars in conjunction. This cycle will happen 3 times this year. These conjunctions over a period of time within months. And with the second Venus retrograde also. The first conjunction of them will happen between February 22nd and it will be in the sign of Aries, 1 degree. The second conjunction will happen on September the 1st, 14 degrees Leo, Venus retrogrades. The third conjunction happens on November 3rd, 24 degrees Virgo. This demotion of Venus, the entrance of this in June 21st, when the solstice period, the retrograde phase on July 25th, 0 degrees Virgo. The Sun-Venus conjunction, lower degrees, 22 degrees Leo. On the 15th of August, Hesperus, Venus, the evening star, Lucifer, becomes Lucifer, the morning star. It now rises before the sun. The direct motion, September 16th, September 6th, 14 degrees Leo. The output of demotion is on October 9th. This full moon Venus conjunction with the Sun Venus being upper on 16 degrees of Gemini, 6 degrees. On the 6th of June, excuse me, Venus Lucifer is Venus Hesperus. The demotion occurs every 18 months, and over a period of 8 years, Venus demotion loops a shape in the sky as a 5-pointed star, similar to like a pentagram. So every 8 years, Venus retrogrades in the same sign and in the same house. It is interesting to dive back in the year 2007, when Venus slid back on that same degree at 2 degrees 57 minutes on Virgo, July 27th, at 16 degrees of Leo on September 8th. Note also that Mars, Venus starts a new cycle about every 2 years. However, the fifth conjunction, the retrograde Venus, which occurs approximately every 77 months. The last one was in 2010, but also 32 years before that on the same zodiacal sign with an average lag of 20 degrees, 7 minutes again. It may be useful to look into our lives, what happened in those 32 years ago in August of 1983. Venus then slid back 9 degrees on 30 minutes Virgo, August 3rd, 23 degrees Leo, 15th of August. The first conjunction, Venus-Mars, had then occurred on that 25 degrees in Pisces, February 19th, 1983. The second conjunction on that 23 degrees Leo, September 19th. The third happened on 16 degrees Virgo, conjunction on 26th of October. Rujar's fifth conjunction considers these conjunctions to arrive at the center of a period of 9 months, during which there are 3 conjunctions of Mars-Venus. The key turning points in this relationship is Mars-Venus. The entire period has a special meaning for everything related to our emotional side, to our emotional life. The opportunity is given us to change our own Venetian values and give a deeper meaning to our spiritual meaning, to our own actions. The time is right to release us from our behavioral patterns, social models, to make them evolve, transmute. Venus-Mars are a couple, feeling and emotion, strength and receiving and showing. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, harmony, it symbolizes the magnetism of our, and all phenomena related to it. The principle is attraction and repulsion. She tells us about what we like most, what attracts us, but it also shows, it says to us, I like this, I don't like that. It does give us the meaning of, to our own experience after we've experienced it. It also shows, it also expresses the feel to live our own feelings according to the sign which is located. So, At the time of this demotion on July 25th, Venus Hesperus will take its entry into Virgo, where she is set to fall. In this earth sign, she is very practical, very critical, logical, perfectionist. Venus does not appreciate the pair value. It may also lack self-confidence. Feelings are also scrutinized by reason. It dissects everything. She is carefully studied, and a critical eye, emotions she feels. The lack of spontaneity, it is too suspicious. It can also be go against a dedicated, always ready to help, always becoming humble, modest as well. She then separates from the conjunction to Jupiter in Leo, always. The exact conjunction will happen on July 1st, 21 degrees Leo, because of the demotion will again on 4th of August, 28 degrees Leo, and also much later than October 25th on 15 degrees Virgo. Venus also separates from this square with Saturn, which is exact on 14 degrees, July 28th. Venus is also successfully squadrate with Pluto. With these aspects, one can experience frustrations, both emotionally and financially. One can also have the impression of having their hands being tied, having to cope with blocking situations, from inhibiting to also scary, and tends to deviate or devalue it a little more. It is time to return to this beautiful lioness. It will soon be July 31st, and will achieve his work on introspection, learning to love better, loving the other, reassess its values, adjust to its own criteria of judgment. So Venus will stay there for around 4 months in the sign of fire, and it will leave on October 8th to cast its warm and powerful sensuality, supported by a need to be admired, but also to admire the other. So, in Leo, Venus shows is warmer, more enthusiastic, more demonstrative of his own or her feelings, are more noble, generous, and ardent, but also very demanding or overbearing in his own affections. His emotional ties, it is also had a great need to be loved, recognition, and attraction. It also can enhance it and to be noticed, to see it. Fortunately, its conjunction with Jupiter is cooled by the square to Saturn. Otherwise, the excess of the beautiful could be also detrimental. Saturn symbolizes blockages, inhibition. Saturn will prevent everything that it ignites. Too fast, too risky to regret. Realign back to your own values when starting this downgrade cycle. If we're not in harmony with our own being, our own value system, it is distorted, does not meet our own basic needs. If we are not honest with our own selves, with our true feelings, this can feel as a disorder or malaise. But also to see clearly, to assess the situations. One can also live during this period emotional confusion, emotional misunderstanding, a lack of motivation. It is a work of internalization, which we are then called upon. We alone have the power to reconnect back to our own selves, to our own inner sun, to uproot this automation. The negative habits have to do with our own, unto our own judgments, our own beliefs, frustrations, injuries we need to overcome. You got to love ourselves, to accept ourselves, and appreciate ourselves even more. It is necessary to take the time to reevaluate what moves our interiority, to listen to our own inner voice, that inner critic, in the heart by making silence, and to avoid taking hasty decisions. There's a time when it must think about our inner values, our own experience, and not to judge them on their external impact. Venus retrograde makes us even more strongly to reevaluate our own value system. Old loves and old attachments are questioned. New interests may also appear, even more consistent with our current moods. One wonders about the motivations that made us love such a person, a situation, or acquisition. They lose attraction. It is also less in seduction. In the Leo sign, it is primarily more emotional and creative values that are surveyed, but also how it appreciates those that we love. And who are those persons that we love? What value do we grant? What value do we grant the other? If we have an artistic soul, Venus retrograde is a good time to turn to our inner sun, to withdraw our own inspiration, to create work that will hold close to our own heart. Old relationships may also resurface, the opportunity given us to return to these values found in particularly 80 years. And there's also 32 years to adjust to the current behavior or echoing what happened then in our emotional life. So, this period therefore is favorable to end relationships emptied of their own meaning, but also to resolve emotional blockages deeply rooted in the subconscious. They are also here given the opportunity by developing our inner touch and going back to that consciousness. On August 15th, the Catholic Church celebrates the Assumption of Virgin Mary, manifested in the end of her earthly life and was elevated to the glory of heaven. This is an extraordinary event. It reveals vividly the divine destination of all existence and glorification of promise. August 15 will also be a day of the lower retrograde Sun-Venus conjunction, which will occur on 22 degrees Leo. This moon will conjunct Jupiter, just entering Virgo in its conjunction opposition large square to Neptune, and as Saturn as well. So Saturn leads to frustrations, blockages, also avoids the emotional overflow of our passions or instinctual forces. Lets us recollect onto our own depth of feelings so that they do not become straw fire. It will also be important not to search for an ideal too high or to focus above all the authenticity. Venus Hesperus, that rose of the sun, becomes after the new Venus, Venus Lucifer. When Venus Lucifer is direct, 14 degrees Leo, will leave on September 6th. A few days earlier has taken place with the second conjunction of Mars on the 14 degrees Leo. First September 1st, Venus is sextiling to Mercury, trine to Uranus, Pluto in conjunction. And this second combination is also done so while Venus is retrograde. It's a real opportunity here for our own likes, our own desires are in harmony with our own true nature, which what we like and generally want, whether it thrills of our own being, makes us very bright. We should then be able to communicate our own feelings, to express our own inner feelings, our own creativity, but also our core nobility, our own altruism. Really, relieved from the pretenses, we have the opportunity to really realign to our own core selves, to be in harmony with our soul, understanding the meaning to our own desires, acting from our own highest good and the highest for the good of all. Thank you all for watching. A successful life is one that has been conducted in accordance with his own wishes, always acting in agreement with his own values by giving the best of our own selves in what we do, while remaining in harmony with which we are, and if possible, and life that has given us the opportunity to surpass ourselves, to dedicate ourselves to something other than ourselves, and to bring something of value to humanity, even humbly. Although it is tiny. Thank you all for watching.